Dear Dad, the past few weeks in English class, I've been reading Shakespeare's King Lear. This week, we read the last two acts. When looking at the major discussion topics of this section, I thought of you. The topic I chose to discuss from this piece of literature is what does Gloucester mean when he says, "As flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport." So you can understand my analysis and the meaningful connection, I will give you some background to the scene. This quote is referencing to Act 4, Scene 1 in the play. At this point, three characters are present: Edgar, Gloucester, and the old man. Edgar is Gloucester's older, legitimate son. He has many different roles throughout the play. In this scene, he is disguised as a wandering beggar. Gloucester is a nobleman who is loyal to King Lear. His rank is Earl, which is just below Duke. We learn early that he is an adulterer, as he fathered a bastard son, Edmund, and then also his legitimate son, Edgar. But him and Edgar have had some ups and downs in their relationship. Now let's go to the content of the reading. When Gloucester says, "As flies to wanton boys are we to the gods, they kill us for their sport," he is saying that we mean nothing to the gods and they will kill humans just for fun. Gloucester speaks as though there is no good order in the universe because the gods let bad things happen to people and find pleasure in it. A reference to support this is when Gloucester got blinded in the previous act. This specific event in the play emphasized the theme of justice, or in this case, the lack of it. At this point, the chaos and cruelty have hit a whole new level, as blinding someone is something that is irreversible. This really sets Gloucester up for Act 4 in his feeling that there is no justice and that gods just like to watch people suffer. When Gloucester makes the statement in the play, he says, "He has some reason, else he could not beg. I the last night's storm I such a fellow saw, which made me think a man a worm. My son came then into my mind, and yet my mind was then scarce friends with him. I have heard more since. As flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport." This gives more background to when Gloucester made this statement about the gods. He was saying that he saw a man that was both poor and crazy, which made him believe that men are as insignificant as a worm. He was reminded of his son, and even though they weren't on good terms at the time, he ultimately remembered that the gods play around with people for fun and like to watch them struggle. The part of the quote that really struck me was the part that made him think about his son, even though they weren't in a good place at the time. It brings up another important interpretation of his statement. Although the gods do not care about us, and relationships can be very difficult, as displayed by King Lear in his relationship with his daughter Cordelia and Gloucester with his son Edgar, there is still beauty that can come out of it. Although these relationships may be filled with darkness and negative aspects, it is these same relationships that also give our lives meaning. For example, Gloucester had a rocky relationship with his son Edgar throughout the course of the play. Gloucester loves his son, but betrays him because he decides to put his trust in his other son. Later on, they mend their relationship, which we can see is starting to be foreshadowed in Act 4, when Edgar wants so badly to reach out to his father after he is blinded. At the same time, Gloucester makes the statement, "O dear son Edgar, the food of thy abused father's wrath. Might I but live to see thee in my touch, I'd say I had eyes again." He is saying that if he was able to touch his son again, that it would be just as great to him as regaining his own eyesight. This shows the power of our relationships and what they can have on us. Reading all of this made me think of you and our situation. Although we are not in the best of places right now, there is always a darkness to all relationships. The relationships that we have in our lives create meaning, and it is important that we work on them because there is not much that we do have control over in our lives, which is also supported by the quote that Gloucester speaks in Act 4 about the gods. If you have time, you should really read King Lear, as the literature is so rich and filled with such deep meaning. I hope you have gotten something out of this letter, and I hope this will be a start to help guide us out of the darkness. Love, Kayla.